Hello again, I'm Alex Miceli, and this is my one take from Wentworth. That's right, I drove all the way down from the Solheim Cup all the way to London. I'm going to tell you, that's a long trip, but I'm finally here. And as you can see, it's kind of serene compared to what I was just witnessing for 3 days up in Scotland, where the Solheim Cup was kind of crazy. Glen Eagles, first of all, let me just say this right now. The next time the European Tour or the LET decide to hold some kind of cup event at Glen Eagles, the United States should boycott, because clearly Ryder Cup, now Solheim Cup, doesn't work for them. No more Glen Eagles for cup events for the United States. That's first off. Second of all, it was a pretty good event. I'm not going to see a great event. I thought the last day got pretty compelling, especially the last 30 minutes. How is it that you can remember when we went from the USA winning the cup to the USA retaining the cup, the USA losing the cup in 30 minutes? That's exactly what happened with 3 groups left on the course. Unbelievable finish. Suzann Pettersen making that, depending on if you like the AP version 6-footer, I like 7-footer. Other people were talking about different numbers, but bottom line is Suzann Pettersen, who actually retired after that putt, made a great putt, finished it off after a bad drive. Marina Alex, who was playing against her, just tried to make a putt from 10 feet above the hole, couldn't do it. So that was that. That was the Solheim Cup. I think in conclusion, that was it. The Europeans finally, after losing 2, finally won 1. And, you know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of like a free-for-all after these events, trying to talk to people. But we got Dame Laura Davies, in a little scrum, and I wanted to show you some of that because I thought it was quite interesting, her comments, not only about Suzann Pettersen, but also about Katrina Matthews. Here you go.
But that's why we stacked the bottom. We put the people who could, because we knew it was going to be close. Obviously, it was 8-all going in. That showed something. Bronte, Anna Nordqvist or Suzann, we knew one of those 3 were probably going to have to win the cup for us, and it just happened to be that Suzann was the one that did it. The others one just a little bit quicker than her, and put her in that position. 9 times out of 10, she comes out well.
Given what she's meant to the whole Solheim Cup picture and the European effort, how perfect was it for her to be able to?
Oh, it's magnificent. I mean, I don't know. I haven't even spoken to her yet, but I'm assuming that that's the greatest moment she's had as a Solheim Cup player, because I can't think of any. I never had the joy of holding the winning putt, but I'm sure for any player that's done it, it has to be the pinnacle.
Had she told everyone about her decision to retire after this?
Suzann. Oh, did she retire? Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good way to go. She didn't tell me. I upset her in Germany a couple of years ago, so she don't talk to me anymore.
She was a bit vague about whether she made a decision after the putt went in or...
Oh, right, no, I mean, yeah, so maybe there's 2 captains possibly for the next Solheim Cup, so that would be good. Yeah, I mean, she's had a great career. She's got nothing to prove, and she's proved it again that she can do it if she wants to.
What do you think? What was it about Beanie that made her successful?
Oh, she's Beanie. I mean, it's as simple as that. She doesn't get too worked up about anything. That's just her personality. That rubs off on the players. Communication was good. Everyone knew what they were doing at all times. She had to make a couple of tough questions, and a couple of players were sat when they probably didn't want to be. But, you know, that's part of being a captain. You have to be strong, and she is. She might look like she's just cruises along, but if there's a decision to be made, she proved this week she can make it.
So what's the legacy of Suzann Pettersen, you think, in this game?
Simply the toughest competitor I've ever come up against, I'd say.
You know, Laura Davies was very critical of some of Suzann Pettersen's antics back in 2015, but clearly they've I think they've washed that away, and if Katrina Matthews isn't the next captain, the likelihood is it could be actually Suzann Pettersen, who I thought did a very good job, considering she was sick. She got thrown into the fire when she wasn't expecting it, because she was going to be a vice captain, and all of a sudden Beanie needed somebody else. They needed some kind of veteran leadership on the golf course, and so it was Suzann Pettersen. So it was a great job there. My wife says not to be critical, because we don't write, at least in Morning Read, and obviously on One Take, we don't talk a lot about the LPGA or women's golf. But I'm sorry, when the captains are talking about how slow some of their players are, you have to ask what was going on. I understand the weather was horrible on Saturday afternoon during the 4-ball matches, but over 5.5 hours to play 18 holes, that's just unacceptable. If you're trying to drive growth, not only into the women's game, but into golf in general, you can't have 5.5-hour rounds. It just doesn't work. They have to think of something else. I don't know what it is. I'm not suggesting I do, but I am suggesting that I am now a proponent of figuring something out when we're talking about 5.5-hour rounds. That's just crazy. Sergio Garcia, KLM Open, kind of a surprise. Didn't think that, he was really into it, but, played well, obviously, to win the tournament by 1. Now he comes to the BMW here at Wentworth with some momentum behind him, and that's kind of interesting because, Sergio's kind of, I don't know, maybe worn out his welcome in Europe. There's so many things that's happened. You can go back to Saudi Arabia, you can go back to so many different things with Sergio. But at the end of the day, he's one of the best players the Europeans have. Of course, there's the Rory McIlroy, but after Rory McIlroy, who's better? Who's the guy that you go to? And I think Sergio Garcia, in a lot of ways, is that go-to guy. So we'll see how he does this week at the BMW. You never know. I am reducing my normal rant to this because I am pooped. It is a long drive. But next week I'll be back in the United States after going to the BMW for about 5 days. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping we get a chance to talk to Ernie Els, the President's Cup captain. He'll be here, and I'd like to hear what he's thinking now because obviously there's a lot going on. Tiger thinking about playing, not playing, him having to come up with his captain's picks. Who is he looking at? Who's he thinking about? All that kind of information. And of course, the golf course itself, Royal Melbourne, an unbelievable track. Ernie doesn't have anything to say about how it's set up, but he knows that golf course almost as well as almost anybody else in golf. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say about that. I'm Alex Miceli. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.